Welcome to the Ages of Rock podcast with your hosts Bill Algie, Dennis Talbot, and Alan Tate. We are three guys who have one thing in common, a love of rock and roll. Our goal is to talk about all things rock. We hope you find this show intriguing, funny, and occasionally highly opinionated. Enjoy!
Go. Hey, welcome back to the Ages of Rock podcast. This is Bill Algie and
Dennis Talbot.
And Alan Tate.
How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
We're doing good. We're
Good.
Tired, busy, fat,
Yep.
lazy.
But we're not as fat as we used to be. We're losing a little weight.
That's
true.
right. I just clocked in 15 pounds weight loss since I started.
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
down 20. So
I think I lost a Cheeto. I think that's been it for me. All right, so we got some stuff coming up tonight. We got a great guest. Rich Kosak's with us tonight, and we're going to get to him in a little bit. But we got some.
Hey, Bill,
Yes, sir.
what episode number is this?
Oh, it's 109.
I believe you might be correct. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you,
100.
sir. I appreciate that.
My
Appreciate
hillbilly is rubbing off on these two yahoos.
and it will be
Excellent.
released on what, February the 20th?
Second,
February the
Second.
22nd.
which, by the way, is
2000.
National Margarita Day. Just in
There you
case
go.
anybody's interested, that's important to me.
2018. There you go.
There you
All
go.
right.
All right. So we got the script we got to read here. 4-score-and-7 years. No, that's not the right thing. Anyway, so we're going to talk about a couple quick things here. Some music news, that kind of stuff. So anybody have anything they want to talk about?
I only have one thing. I bought tickets this week for Steve Miller Band, and well, it's actually Peter Frampton and Steve Miller Band are going to be at the Ford Center. And two bands I've never seen before, and I jumped on that as quick as I could. Got some $36 tickets, and I'm sitting exactly where I want to sit. So we got that. So that's coming up in I don't know, sometime later this year. I forgot what day.
Is that in the arena for $36?
Yes, that's in the lower section. Perfect.
It's actually a
would-
really good section to watch the show from.
Yeah, actually, it's one
Cool.
of my favorite plays. So anyway,
Cool. They're coming to Indy, and it's going to be the Q95 40th anniversary show. That's what they've picked to be their
that's
tag
pretty-
show, which is pretty cool.
I'll pull up the date here in a second. But go ahead. I'll throw it in there in a
The
minute.
only thing that I have to say is Fergie did the national anthem the other day, and the best comment that I heard out of every slander, slam, insult, whatever was somebody owes Roseanne Barr an apology.
Yeah, I saw that.
Now I didn't see her do the national anthem, so I can't comment whether it was good or bad. I just had to inject that little bit of humor that I saw. But
We listened to it at work, and at some point she stepped on a cat. I swear to God, it was there was a noise that
Well,
came out.
can I-
That was, yeah, go ahead.
This is probably a dumb question, and somebody's probably, isn't she British?
no,
Fergie? No,
No?
you're
Okay.
thinking of Fergie. You're
You're
thinking
not. We're talking Sarah or Stacey Ferguson from the Black Eyed Peas.
of right. Not
Yeah,
Fergie.
I thought she was. I
She
thought
is
she was
not
British.
British.
Okay.
The Fergie that's
thought she
British was actually married to royalty.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about her. I know that. But
Steve Miller Band
for
is
some reason I thought she was British.
Steve Miller Band is June 12th. I should have known that. That's my dating anniversary. Anyway,
She probably should have sang "My Humps" instead of singing the national
it
anthem. That would have.
She
been
tried to
better.
do this stuff where she was cutting off the words, and then she was like, she threw a little Mariah Carey in there at one point.
Ugh.
It's like, oh my God, it was
Never
terrible.
works.
You
Never
gotta
works.
watch it. You gotta watch it. It's fun.
I'll
The
watch
funny
it.
thing is that watch the players' faces as they scanned across them. They're all laughing. They're all about to bust out. It's so funny.
So were they kneeling because they couldn't stand from laughing, or
No, somebody made a joke that said that one guy said he's finally he's just
Colin
going to stand up.
Kilpatrick.
Yeah, he's standing up for this because nobody should do the thing like that.
Nobody should disrespect the national anthem like that.
good Lord, that's horrible.
right.
That's all I got.
All right. So let's see. We got the Rockin' Pod Expo coming up on August 25th. That's the Rockin' Pod Expo 2. Nashville, in Tennessee, at the Nashville Palace.
Yes.
And we will be there with a table and some fun gear, I hope. And then
Rather than fun guy.
I will be there, smartass. Thank you very much. Okay, and then so that's coming up, and then we have the Kiss Expo, that Indie Kiss Expo, that's coming up on May 12th and 13th. Okay, sit back, grab a drink. Here's the list. It's going to take a while. So Saturday's Expo's confirmed guests: Eric Singer, Ace Frehley, Bob Kulick, James Michael Jackson, Brent Fitz, Todd Kearns, Bill Starkey, Lydia Criss, Carl Cochran, Robert Fleischman, and Roman Fernandez.
Don't forget Anton Fig.
No, that's on Sunday.
Yeah, he's on Sunday. No. And then, so there's a live performance on Saturday that's Eric Singer, Bob Kulick, Todd Kearns, Brent Fitz, and a special guest appearance by Ace.
Wow.
Then Sunday's Expo is Ace, Bruce, Bob Kulick, Anton Fig, our friend John Reagan, our friend Todd Howarth, Mark Slaughter, Brent Fitz, Todd Kearns, Roman Fernandez, and Bobby Rock.
Wow.
Wow.
I didn't realize Anton was only on one day.
Oh, that's how it's listed here. So on Sunday's performance, it's Bruce and Bob Kulick's band.
Ooh, that'd be good.
With a special appearance by Ace.
Wow.
That is, I got freaking goosebumps.
All right.
That's going to be cool.
And people can meet us.
And you can come and meet us. And we will sign autographs. We will take pictures, and we will not charge extra for that. No. It's just part of going to the event. You can just pay the money to get in for one day for $45 or whatever it is, and then you can just meet us, and we'll take all the pictures you want. Actually, we have no problem with that, and we'll sign anything. We'll sign guitars. So if you need us to sign a guitar, we will do that. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
Funny.
Probably one of those little bitty guitars. Anyway, so that's what we got going on. We got some cool stuff coming up. We're excited about it, and keep checking out the show and keep giving us some feedback. We need some feedback. Our numbers are going up on YouTube. Our numbers are going up on Spotify. We're getting some numbers on there, which is good. That's new to us. We're getting numbers, so give us some feedback. We want to mention you on the show, so please let us know if you like us or if you don't like Dennis.
Cool. Either way.
All right, so here we go, people. Here is our interview with Rich Kosak of Mr. Speed.
Woo!
Hey, welcome back to the Ages of Rock podcast. We are here with Rich Kosak. Did I say that right?
You did.
Awesome. From Mr. Speed. He
plays.
Everybody,
how's it going?
Yeah. He plays. Let's see, on behind you there. For those of you watching video, you see a couple of Paul Stanley photos. So I think that's what Rich takes care of in the band. Is that correct?
That is correct. This is my Paul wall behind me.
Paul wall. I like that.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So tell us a little bit about Mr. Speed. How long is that band's been around? For a day or two?
Yeah, you know what? We've been around since late 1993. We played our first show June 24th, 1994, at what used to be a very famous club in Pittsburgh called the Decade. And the reason I say that is because a lot of really big bands, when I say big bands, I mean like U2 and Bruce Springsteen and Bon Jovi and Meatloaf and things like that. A lot of these bands, when they came to Pittsburgh their first time in, they played the Decade before they moved on to the Stanley Theater or the Civic Arena. So we played our first show June 24th, 1994, to a standing room only crowd. I mean, when we came from the upstairs dressing room through the kitchen with the greasy floor and out onto that stage, we could barely push the kitchen door open to get on the stage. And there were so many people in this place, they were actually on the stage with us during the show. So we were very frightened. The first show was incredible, and then it was all downhill after that.
That's kind of like our show.
We spent the next, I would say, 18 years grinding our teeth, biting and scratching for everything that we ever got, whether it was a Kiss Expo or a Halloween show or something like that. Nothing came easy to us. So that's why I'm proud to sit here and finally be on your show, because when I met you guys in Atlanta, and you realize that I was in Mr. Speed and how that whole thing all came about, you guys were like, hey, we've heard of you guys. And so that makes me feel good that, even after all these years, there are people out there that know who our band is, and we've got a pretty good reputation. Maybe not so much amongst the other tribute bands. We'll get into that a little bit later. But the fans, I think, have some really complimentary things to say about us. So what we do, real quickly, we try to play the really cool songs. We try to stay true to ourselves. We try to learn from what the other bands have done wrong and try not to do that again and put our own spin on things, if you will.
Cool.
Awesome.
So how do you go ahead, Dennis?
No, just the funny thing about Atlanta, I'm going to bring this up real quick, is how we met, Rich. You were Rich. You were over looking at a table, going through some stuff, and you went and you had this in your hand.
Yes.
And I go, Bill, I go, you need to get another one of these albums, because I talked him into buying one of these one time, and he bought it. Bill's just not a fan, but that's okay, And he was like, and I'm like, because I was almost a joke. And then when you turned it around and we started talking to you, I go, man, I know this guy from somewhere, because you look really familiar. And then once we got to talking and we were exchanging cards and stuff, I was like, oh shit, yeah, I know who he is now. But so this was the New England was and I actually got a couple more copies and I couldn't find them. They're somewhere hidden in boxes somewhere. But anyway, I just thought that was funny. And Bill's going to give me his copy too.
The funny thing about that is everybody knows the association with New England and Paul Stanley being involved with that
Sure.
that album you were holding up, and New England did, I think, 23 dates on the Dynasty tour. So most people who know about New England are Kiss fans that saw them on the Dynasty tour in '79, myself included. I just bought, and this may surprise you, may not surprise you. I just bought my 30th copy of that album on Saturday. And
Awesome.
It's a joke because I'm personal friends with the band, and even my bandmates pick on me because I basically rescue that album everywhere I find it. It's just, and I know I'm not alone. I know there's other people out in this world that do the same thing. They have one album that touched their life, and maybe they just got to save it from every record store they can find it in. So
anytime I find one, I buy it, because usually it's in a $2 bin, and it's like, you know what, I'm taking it.
And maybe it was just I don't know if he didn't see the show, but if I saw the show in '79, I saw New England open for Kiss, and I wasn't there to see New England. I didn't know anything about them, but once I saw them open up the show, I was completely blown away. The very next day, I went out and bought the album. Yeah. I have not been able to say that about any other opening act I've ever seen. I've seen Kiss 63 times. So,
wow. Exactly.
Judas
Awesome.
Priest had that kind of effect on me when I saw him open for Kiss. I went out the next day and bought that record. So
yeah, I imagine they did.
Yeah, it's kind of the way Accept was with me. I saw Accept open for them. I'm going, who? Accept who?
Oh yeah,
and
that's
they
true.
come out there.
Yeah,
I'm
same thing.
Holy shit! I mean, I went out next day, balls to the wall. But that's what Kiss did. I mean, Kiss springboarded a shit gob of bands. But anyway, let's get back to Rich here.
So Rich, what got you into what made you think about doing this whole thing? Where you said you've been to 60? Would you say 63 shows?
Yeah.
So your love for Kiss started a long time ago. How did it start, and kind of how did you get to where you are today?
Well, the first thing I ever saw was the commercial for the radio. I saw it one Saturday afternoon when I was a young kid, and I saw the explosion and heard Detroit Rock City, and I thought, what the hell is this? I didn't know anything about it. And not long after that, a family moved onto my street that I grew up on, and they had a young boy from the Philippines who, ironically, had just seen the Alive 2 tour in January of '78 at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. His uncle was best friends with Hank Schmel. So if you look on the inside of Alive 2 and you see the director of special effects, Hank Schmel was the guy that did Pyro for Kiss, I think from like '77 through the early '80s. And so they were best friends. So my friend Chris went to that show. I befriend him. I go over to his house one day. I go into his bedroom, and there's the U.S. Tour 76 poster on his closet door. So I'd already seen the commercial for the radio. And then I see this poster on his door, and I'm like, what's going on here? Who is this band? And at that point, as you guys know, and it's well documented, Kiss was everywhere.
Yeah.
The solo albums had not come out yet. Maybe Double Platinum was out by that point. I'm not even really sure. But I knew about the band, but when I saw the poster, I thought, I have to look into this. So I started going to my local record shop and just finding anything and everything I could. And fortunately for me, they were on the cover of just about every single rock magazine at that time. So, I was constantly wasting my parents' money, bringing things home. And, it just kind of went from there. My fanaticism went from there. I had to have everything. I couldn't get enough of the band. When I first became a fan, I was a fan of all four members of the band. It wasn't until the solo albums came out, my local record shop only had Paul's and Peter's. So I stood there. I remember going home asking my dad for $8 because it was $7.49. I had to go back up there, and that was my defining moment. It was either Paul or Peter that I was going to buy, and I bought Paul's record. I took it home. From the very first listen, I became a Paul Stanley fan. I was just, that is my number one Desert Island disc of all time. And every time I get to meet Bob Kulick, I tell him about it because his guitar playing on that album, I think, is just stellar.
Exactly.
So that's pretty much how I got into Kiss. And from there, it was just every year. It didn't matter whether it was The Elder, it was Unmasked, it was Dynasty. I've been a Kiss fan through everything. And these fans that are out there talking about how, oh my God, the Dynasty costumes are this and that and all this, mumbo jumbo. It was Kiss. It was we had, and I was a fan.
You can cuss on this show.
Can I?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah. We have a warning. We have a warning label.
We have a warning label for Dennis.
Beware of Dennis.
So Rich, were you a guitar player or a musician before you heard? I mean, was you already into playing before you heard Kiss, or was it after Kiss? Then you said, I might want to play guitar. I want to do this.
That's a really cool question. I was not playing guitar when I became a Kiss fan. I have an older brother, 7 years older than me, and he was very much into Jimi Hendrix and Robin Trower and the Isley Brothers and Kansas to a point. I mean, so I heard all this music coming out of his room, and I was just like a sponge. I was just trying to soak it all up. And what really caught my attention out of his bedroom one time was Frampton Comes Alive. For whatever reason, those melodies struck a chord with me, and I couldn't get enough. So I would sit outside of his room when he was listening to records, and I would listen. And then he started playing guitar as well. He bought a Strat, and he bought a Gibson amplifier and all these things, and I was just mesmerized by it. And not long after that, he bought some newer gear and bestowed upon me his old guitar and his old amp. So that was how I got into actually playing. And from there, it was just I couldn't get enough. Now, here I am, 54 years old, and have had Mr. Speed for almost 24 years. And I'm not a gearhead by any stretch of the imagination. All my guitars are Paul Stanley models because it's my bread and butter. It's where my craft is. So I'm not out there buying Telecasters or Strats or Charvels or things like that, and 5150 amps like I see in the background there. And I'm not doing that. I'm sticking true to myself, true to what I think my sound is and what the Kiss sound was when I was growing up. So that I really appreciated that question because I was not playing music, and I remember one of the first things drove my dad crazy was trying to play Hendrix's version of the Star Spangled Banner on one string. On one string. So I can remember this day my dad asking my brother, what is he doing in there? And I think my brother just made up a story that I was trying to do more than I was capable of doing. But, it's just the way it worked for me.
Well, I'm 50, like I said, I'm 52. I'll be 53 this year. And I remember, I had a friend of mine who was a country guitar player. I mean, the dude was really good. I mean, he had a country gentleman, and he would Gretsch, and he'd finger pick and do this shit. And I got my first electric guitar, and I would drop my E down to a D and basically a drop D. Back when I didn't even know what the hell a drop D was, and I would play this shit. He's like going, "That's cheating." You know what? I play in a band now, and a 3/4 of one set is drop D. I mean, I do that.
Yes.
So it's funny how it is. I mean, when you're a kid, you do whatever you can do to, and we didn't have the internet. We didn't have any of this shit to learn a guitar. You had a cassette player that had the missing part of the first part of the song, so you had to figure that one out. And then you had to back it up. It was tough back when we were
I think
kids.
that's why this generation is there's so more technically advanced as far as musicians go because they do have the internet. When we were growing up, you had to pick the needle up off the record, set it down, and you had to try the lick, and then you had to put it back on and listen to it again. Now they've got YouTube, they've got all these things, they've got instructional this and that, and that I go into music stores every so often. I hear these young kids, and they're just phenomenal. Yeah. But I also think, how angry can that bee get? You can only listen to so many notes a second. And for me, it's about melody. If you can't hum it, then I'm probably not going to listen to it that much. Because I really do believe that, melody, a good song is going to win out over a bazillion notes. And you can have your hair as long as you want. And you can wear all the bedazzled stuff that you can find. But, if people don't remember your song, I don't know what you got there, But
exactly,
variety's the spice of life.
Okay. Anyway,
yeah, I totally
sidetracked.
No, that's I totally agree. That's the thing.
Well, and I tell you what, a lot
of the
about
music from the '80s, I just can't. I mean, we were talking a couple weeks ago about they announced the Slayer tour, the world tour that they're retiring or whatever, and I'm like, yeah. I'm not because I want to go, but because that to me that's the same concept. It's like it's not melodic. I like the melodic. That's what I want, that kind of stuff. So that whole thing about how many notes can you cram into one measure is just like, I'm not sure how much. I mean, it is a talent. It does take talent. It's just I'm not sure that that's the talent that drives me at all. So.
Right.
I mean,
and that's why I like Kiss. That's probably why I continue to like Kiss all this time is because the music that's what I like. It's melodic. It's got it has structure and that's probably the.
What gets me though too about the kids though now who learn to play guitar off the internet and you have these tabs and you can do whatever you want. I can learn a song. And I cheat sometimes because I play in a cover band. If I don't know the song, I'll just pull up a YouTube video. Boom, and I'll learn it. And, I don't have to sit there and think about it. I just look at it. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of the kids now, when they do learn it like that, they learn the notes, but they don't have any fucking soul or any feeling behind it. I can, like you said, I can play this fucking song and it sounds great, but there's no soul behind it. When we learned shit back then, you had to listen to it. You had to kind of do your feel. A lot of times it wasn't quite 100%, but it was close to what was being played. But you actually put a little bit more of yourself into it. Nowadays, these kids are learning shit, and they're learning exactly note for note, but they don't really think about what they're playing. They're just playing the notes, but they're not actually putting any feeling into it. And that's what gets me.
Yeah, I'm just I don't know. I'm a fan of certain bands. We all have a wheelhouse, and within that wheelhouse, we have what's comfortable. And comforting to each one of us. So I always go back to those bands. And, thank God there's a Slayer for people that need Slayer. I've seen Slayer twice. Right. I've seen them twice in concert. It's an impressive show, and there's some pissed off dudes, man. But there's an audience for that because there's a lot of, evil, pissed off people in this world. I'm sad to say, and so great, but it's just not my cup of tea. I can't put that on and feel good about it. But that's no disrespect to Slayer or any music like that because it all serves a purpose.
Right.
Well, getting back. Oh, I'm sorry, Bill. Go ahead. You want to go ahead?
You said, yeah.
Okay, getting back to Mr. Speedo. Okay, you're basically set in what the Love Gun, the '77 type era. That's your forte. As far as
that's where we're at right now. That's what we've decided to settle on. Mm-hmm.
So is that the way it's been since day one, or has that changed over the 20 years or 20 so years?
Well, originally when I decided to start the band, which was never meant to be a band in the first place, it was only meant to be myself and the original lead guitar player. playing Kiss songs onto a cassette tape. That was all it was ever supposed to be. It was never supposed to be a tribute band.
Okay.
Once we did that for 6 months and we decided that the guitars sounded really solid, we thought, hey, maybe we should look into, getting a bass player and a drummer. We originally started out going to Goodwill stores and wearing suits, like the cover of Dress to Kill.
I love that.
Because it was affordable. And keep in mind, back in '93, there was no internet. You couldn't order bodysuits online. You could not find a bootmaker. You could not order all the chrome spots to make a belt. That stuff, you had to know how to go to these places physically and find that. And, growing up in Pittsburgh, we didn't have shops like a Tandy Leather or anything like that. So we were really, really behind the 8 ball. So we started with the most economical means we could, wearing the suits, and went from there. And then after about a year, we decided that we were going to try and do the best we could to create costumes. And I can honestly tell you that the second show we ever did in our costumes, one of the platforms on my boot sheared right off during the show. And I almost took a header right over the monitor. And now keep in mind, I made those boots myself using a heavy-duty styrofoam that I shaved with a knife and thought I epoxied to the bottom of a shoe. The epoxy did not hold. Right. So fast forward to 3 years ago, I go to LA, meet with a bootmaker, and I pay $2,000 to have my current pair of boots made for me. So we've all learned a lot of things along the way. And one thing I'm not a real big fan of are the Halloween Kiss costumes that are out on the market, because that opens up a whole other can of worms for guys like me that work really hard at what we do to make it authentic and true for the Kiss fans. But when somebody can pull a costume that doesn't fit out of a bag and put it on and call themselves a tribute band, that's when the hair on the back of my neck stands up a little bit.
Right.
So originally it was the suits, then it went to the Love Gun costumes. We then went to Destroyer, Rock and Roll Over, and now back to Love Gun. And we've got a big surprise in store for next year. Maybe not to you guys, because you're just, maybe you don't like big surprises from tribute bands, or can a tribute band have but we're going to unveil new outfits and a brand new stage in January of 2019. But I won't divulge what we're going to be going after just yet.
Cool.
Okay. Cool. So when you do, you can maybe come on here and say that. How's that?
Talk about it.
I would love to do that. Yeah, I mean, I'll talk to you folks any day of the week about what we do. I'm very passionate about my band. I believe in what we do, and I really feel that we put a very good product out on the road for whatever type of event it might be: club, theater, fair, or festival.
Cool. So they at the Atlanta Expo, they had a guy there that was selling replica costumes.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know, is that the right word? That's probably costumes. That's probably not the right word. Anyway, those look pretty cool. I mean, I was pretty impressed with those. I mean, at least the, just overall, could get an entire package kind of put together. Is that how you guys usually buy stuff like that, or is it you just piecemeal them together as you go along, or how does that work?
Yeah, I believe David with UD Replicas is rather new to the Kiss world. I know he's been doing a lot of superhero things and whatnot in the past. The little bit that I do know about him, I was able to meet.
And we did see Wonder Woman that day. Did you see her down there? Alan did. There was a girl that came in had a Wonder Woman costume, I guess, that he had sold to her, and she was checking it out, and she was trying it out and letting everybody see it. It was very nice, actually.
Honestly, what I saw of his handiwork there, I was completely impressed with. I had some business that I needed to take care of with David while I was there. I had a personal agenda that I needed to meet with him for, and David is more than likely going to be helping me with my new costume coming up, because I was very impressed with his work. I like his business tact and his business sense, and I feel comfortable in employing him to help me with my project over the next coming year. So what I did see of his product on there that weekend was very impressive to me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to working with him.
And it all it's all KISS approved too. I mean, they actually have the
licensed.
Licensed, I guess they are licensed by KISS.
Yes, he told me that I guess he gets the blueprints or something from some of their costumes, and
right.
Even though they had the auctions like 18 years ago and they allegedly sold off all these things, Paul still does have one of the original Dynasty costumes, and right. David told me that he's got the pattern for that, because I guess ultimately they're going to start creating the Dynasty ones, and the Gene costume was on full display that weekend.
Mm-hmm. Right,
everyone saw it, and so. It's super cool that he's got that kind of intel with the band. He's that connected, and they allow him to use things that the rest of us would just give our left foot to be able to.
Exactly.
So, that's the good part about what he does.
It's pretty interesting you talk about the Dynasty costumes, because I remember back in the day, I thought they were cool. I know a lot of people.
See, I wasn't a
mixed
fan.
bag of tricks. I kind of like
Gene's costume was just, I don't know. I just didn't like those boots. I didn't like that aluminum. It looked like aluminum foil. I could take aluminum foil and just wrap it around my leg and make Gene boots.
I didn't like Gene's boots as much, but I liked the capes. I thought the capes were cool.
Capes were cool.
I know that that's that whole superhero thing and it whatever, but I thought it was pretty cool.
And the colors
I thought the color coordination
was
coming
good,
off the solo album. I thought that was all kind of just cool. I mean, I thought, but yeah, whatever.
Gene boots. I didn't like Gene's.
I didn't like Gene's much, but I thought Ace's costume was
Ace looks good.
Badass.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool. Whatever.
Are you asking my opinion on those costumes?
Yeah. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, actually, those are the outfits that we're going after. So when we change, that's what we're morphing into. I don't like that David is going to be making it available for mass consumption, but I can't do anything about that. We need to do what we do on our level to make it interesting and exciting for ourselves. So some of these bands, they go out wearing the same thing year after year after year, or whatever's popular. We wanted to go with something that was going to challenge us to create. So I saw that show. That was my first KISS show, July 21st, 1979. So when they came up out of the bottom of the, stage with the solo album lights and everything, that whole experience was just unbelievable for me. So, okay, great for you if maybe you saw the Love Gun tour and that was the first time. So you're endeared to that era. But the first time I saw them was 1979. So don't shit on it. I read so much on social media about, the Vegas this and the this and that and so on and so. You know what I'm sick of? I'm sick of the KISS icons. That's what I'm sick of. I'm going to go on record and say, can they stop putting those fucking circles on every goddamn thing that they got to put out? You see the new jacket, and there's a new Rock and Roll Over jacket that's out, and it's lined with the icons.
Really?
We get it. I get it.
Wow.
It's just, I don't know. For me,
I don't care for that logo.
Well, I'm the one that's late to the KISS concert party, because the first batch of costumes that I got to see was the Crazy Nights costumes.
Poor Alan.
Oh,
Alan, you got to see the glove.
Say that again.
You got to see the body glove shirt.
Yes.
Oh man.
And the body glove guitar and that one wearing the one glove.
But see, a lot of people don't like the way Gene looked during Crazy Nights, and I thought that look was pretty badass myself. The hair was obviously a wig, but that leather outfit that he wore, I thought in the Unmasked years that was one of his best looks, when he probably felt the most comfortable he'd ever been out of makeup.
Well, I would agree with that, but I would also segue that into, I think Crazy Nights morphed into what became Revenge.
Right.
And
Revenge,
For me, Revenge was the David without makeup. know,
It was the revenge. Thank God.
They were dirty and they were pissed off, and Eric had died, and they had something. They just had something to prove again, and it was cool. And Eric Singer was on board, and Bruce's guitar playing was just completely on point. And I thought that was when they were just unmasked. That's when they were in tip-top shape.
Right.
Exactly.
So
I totally agree. 100%.
Exactly. So when you guys do
like assholes, and everybody's got one, so everybody's entitled to their own opinion. So
right,
exactly. So how many other tribute bands do you guys compete with? I mean, I know you say you're up in what you're in you're up in North, like what, Columbus,
Cleveland.
I'm sorry, Cleveland.
Okay.
So how many other bands do you compete with in that area, in that territory? Kind of, what I'm saying, like a tri-state area or what have you.
Yeah, not many. There might be maybe two or three, and we're going as far east as Buffalo, New York, and we're going. There might be one still up in Detroit. There's Strutter is still trying to keep it together, and he was for a while based out of Akron, Ohio, which is half an hour down the road from where I'm sitting right now. So, I don't consider these guys competition. This is a really big planet, and there's a lot of Kiss tribute bands, and there's a corner of the market for every single one of them. So we will play anywhere and everywhere that someone wants to hire the band and work with us. I really only want to work with events that are serious about their event and serious about their entertainment. I really, because I've gotten involved with some real bad things over the years and some not so nice people, but that's how you get better and that's how you learn. So
Sure.
Yeah. So you guys won what, about how many years ago was it that you won the Best Kiss tribute band by Tommy Thayer, as deemed by Tommy Thayer? When was that? That was in Vegas, right?
Yeah, that was January of 2012. That took place. It's such a cool memory for us and for me. Half of the band that competed that day is no longer in the band. But I couldn't have done what I did, and we couldn't have accomplished what we did if it wasn't the four of us on stage that day. I think Mr. Speed is in a much healthier state now with the four guys that are in the band. But that whole experience, there was over 200 bands that entered that contest. They narrowed it down to 20, and then the fans got to vote over a 2-day period for the top four. We made the top four. And so the four bands went to Vegas. We all paid our own ways. Nobody paid for anything for us. We went out there and we competed. You could do 4 songs, or you had 20 minutes on a stage that was probably 3 times the size of the chair I'm sitting in right now.
Right.
And we did what we could. And I felt at the end of the day that we were the better band. I'm not just saying that because we did win. I felt that we prepared really strongly. It was like a competition, and we were going for the throat. So
good. That's cool. That's really cool.
Well,
Alan,
you speak of going for the throat. Kiss is eventually going to turn into Kiss 2.0 or whatever their next plan is. If the opportunity comes for you to take over the role of the Starchild, how do you feel about that?
Well, I look at it like this, Alan. I would not want to go see me trying to be Paul. That's how I look at it. But with that being said, if somebody called me and said, "Would you audition?" I would be there yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I really do feel like, and this could sound cheesy and like I'm full of shit and so on and so forth, but I think I've gotten pretty good at what I do over all these years. And I think that I was put on this planet to be the Starchild in a Kiss tribute band. I can't be Steve Perry in a Journey band. I can't be Yngwie in an Alcatraz band. I can be Paul Stanley in a Kiss tribute band. And I think there's a lot of guys out there that play Paul, but they miss the essence of who Paul Stanley is. And I could run through a criteria of things that kind of make me raise my eyebrow. I don't get the bodybuilding aspect of it. I don't get the can't pass up a Dunkin' Donuts aspect of it. I work very hard. I'm up at 4:30 every morning, Monday through Friday, going to the gym to stay in shape for my role in Mr. Speed, because the fans are coming to see us. They want to see the best representation of Paul Stanley. They don't want to see Rich with his replaced right knee and Rich with his gut hanging over his belt and, the star on the wrong eye and pulling, he's not only carrying his costume and his makeup, but he's got a little, bit of luggage with his self-tanner in it and things like that. It's not what it's about.
Right.
The bottom line is when you close your eyes, it better be about the music first. And then if you open your eyes, it better remind the fans of some point in their life when they saw Kiss, whether it's a magazine, in concert, Kiss Meets the Phantom, a video, whatever the case is. We try to roll all that up. We throw all that into the blender and try and make that come out on stage every time we hit a stage.
Right. A couple years ago, there was it's actually been more than a couple years ago, but there was a video, a documentary made, and I seen it one time on HBO or something, and I've been looking for this thing forever, and I cannot find it again. But it was called Tribute, and it was about tribute bands, and they had a Kiss tribute band, they had a
Larger
Queen.
Than Life.
Yeah, and I think it was them. Mm-hmm. They had a Kiss tribute band. They had a Monkees tribute band. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was a great documentary, and the whole thing was though about when the Larger Than Life. They were going through this thing where they were having to replace Gene, and they were going through these. I mean, they were bringing these people in, and there was this one dude was just like fucking just completely out there because the one dude basically set his house on fire. He thought he was Gene so much that he just tripped out and whatever. Do you run into that? I mean, when you're going through, if you have a person change like that, and I'm sure Gene is Gene your hardest person to replace because of not only the playing but the vocals, but the vocals that he has to do, plus just basically the being Gene Simmons. I mean, that's a whole persona, just like a Paul. With Paul, you have to have that. You got to be Gene. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Perception is in the eye of the beholder. Right. It's over the years, I've had left-handed drummers. I've had bass players that have been pushing 300 pounds. I've had
like Gene. No, I love Gene.
You have. It's not like. It may seem like it's easy to find people to be in a Kiss tribute band, but it's not. And especially if you really believe in your product, right. It is really not easy to find guys.
Oh, I'm sure it's hard. That's why I was asking you, because I mean the problems you have to go through to get that guy because of all the particulars you got to do. I mean, I just lost my bass player in my cover band this week. Just to find another bass player is a pain in the dick. Now, if I got to find somebody that's going to be Gene Simmons, that's even going to be worse,
Well, fortunately for me, a couple of years ago, we came across a guy by the name of Jim Sada, and Jim has been in a number of Kiss tribute bands over the years. He's been doing this a little bit longer than I have, and Jim has got a ton of experience. And where I come from, experience is going to trump everything in the long run. I don't care what you're talking about, what you're doing. Experience is going to win out. So all I needed to do was I needed to exercise the demons, pardon the pun, from Jim's past, from working with all these other tribute bands that either did him wrong or he helped to create a bad environment and found himself in a situation that was not healthy for him. Now, Jim is in my band. He's been associated with us for about 2 years now, and Jim knows when he shows up, he's going to be taken care of. His lodging is taken care of. He's getting paid, and he is going to have a good time, and he's playing with a really, really great Kiss tribute band. And for Jim, that's all he wants. He just wants to show up, do his job, get paid, and go home. Okay? And if we can have some laughs along the way and get better in the process, then we're all a better band because of it. So it's been difficult. In the 23 and a half years I've been doing this, I've had probably 14, 15 bass players and at least a dozen drummers and only 2 lead guitar players.
Wow.
Fortunately, Joe's been with me for about almost 18 years now.
Wow.
So when you have that kind of continuity and consistency, it builds a winning culture. And I might sound like a motivational speaker, but I think this is what sets Mr. Speed apart from other Kiss tribute bands. You can come out there with the flashiest, Ace Frehley, and he can finger tap, from here to China. But if you can't play blues-based rock and roll the way Ace plays it, you're missing the boat. So, it is difficult to find these guys. And we used to be the band that rehearsed all the time and never played out live. Now we've kind of reversed that role. We play out a lot, and we hardly ever rehearse because Jim lives in Louisville. Quentin lives Quentin lives in Wisconsin, and Joe and I are here in Cleveland. So that makes Wednesday night practice kind of a bitch.
Oh, exactly.
That's why you have Skype.
So how many gigs are you guys doing a year then? Are you doing like how many weekends do you play out of a year? I know you've talked. I've seen on the 3 Sides the other day that you're a 40-hour just like us. You work a normal job.
Here's the curveball to that. I lost my job October 16th of last year.
Oh.
After being with the company for 18 years.
Oh, wow.
My wife came down with cancer in May. So when I lost my job, it almost was like a blessing in disguise because I was able to stay home and help take care of her. So I'm still currently unemployed and pretty much working my band 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, which is not a full-time job because I'm not negotiating offers all that time. But you never know when someone will email or try to get a hold of us. And my response time is usually within 5 minutes. And I've gotten a lot of compliments because of that, because I reply very quickly. But, I'm trying to take care of 3 other people plus our crew who all want to go out and play. This is all we want to do. So right now, Mr. Speed is my full-time job. We're playing every single weekend in the month of March, starting with the House of Blues here in Cleveland on March 2nd, and then just going from there. So, it's just weird how my life played out that way. I'm a big believer in things happen for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, things change. So that's awesome, though. Awesome. So these guys, they just drive up, fly up, I guess, for these gigs. Like we got your guys from Louisville.
It depends on where we're going. Like in the second week in March, we're playing 2 shows outside of Boston, and so we're gonna fly the other 2 guys from out of town up there, and the rest of us are gonna fly out from here. We're using a rented back line from a Poison tribute band that we're playing with up there, and so it was going to be It wasn't going to be cost effective for us to transport and pay for our gear and our backline to make that trip. So fortunately, we're having it lent to us at no charge to us, and we'll still be able to do the 2 shows up there. So we're going to play. We're actually playing at Gillette Stadium where the Patriots play it's Saturday night, March 10th, and the very next night we're playing the Tupelo Music Hall in Derry, New Hampshire.
Cool.
So we've never been to that neck of the woods. What excites me about it is we get to play for a brand new market of Kiss fans, and I can't wait.
That'll be awesome.
Cool.
Awesome.
And then you're coming to Indiana.
Yes, then we'll come back and we'll go to Terre Haute. Yep.
Home of
Terre
the Kiss
Haute.
Army. Woo!
Terre Haute.
I will be trying to get a hold of Bill Starkey, and I will be inviting Bill to the show because Bill and I are friends. We've done a number of the indie Kiss Expos over the years, and that's actually where I know Alan from. So it's just it's fun for us. This is what we want to do. We love taking our band and playing for new people. The funny thing about here in Cleveland, we're kind of a hated band here in Cleveland because we don't want to play here. We want to play anywhere but here, and all the other bands want to be huge in Cleveland, and it's just a really strange culture that goes on here. But we want to go. We want to stretch our wings and go play other places. I've played Cleveland. It's okay.
Been there, done that, right?
So
Bought the
Cleveland Rocks is not necessarily the right logo.
Not in my world. No, not in my world. No.
I might try to get over to Terre Haute to see you, man. That'd be kind of cool because it's
When
actually
is
got
that?
a-
When is it?
like the
That is
12th, 17th, right?
of March, I believe.
Yeah.
17th. Yeah,
March 17th. That's St. Patrick's Day. I got to work that day. Fuck.
it's right around there. I don't have my website opened up, but it's right around there. It's the
I
following.
got Saturday. I got to work Saturday though.
We'll look into it.
Yeah, we'll get
Okay, that'd be
somebody
great.
will be there. I'd love to see it. Yeah, I would love
Yeah.
to see it.
Now I have seen
Awesome.
Mr. Speed before. I saw. Y'all may have played at one of the indie expos. Did you ever play Cincinnati?
Yes.
I'm thinking that's where I saw you guys play. You may have played Master and Slave
Yes.
because I wasn't a fan of that song until I heard y'all play it.
No, see?
How can you not be a fan of that song?
Because it's on that
So,
god
that's something
awful
we haven't talked
album.
Because it's on the
what
greatest
is-
album they
it's
ever
on the
made.
best
so-
album ever, dude. Second, no, it's not the best album ever, but it's one of the best albums.
It's
ever.
one of the best albums ever. Ben.
You're just a knocker hugger.
Yeah.
You and the elder.
Like the elder.
Yeah, we're just poking at each other. It's funny. So in your set list, then you cover everything in the set list because I watched some video, but it's pretty short. So
Yeah. Well, again, like I said in a reply to one of the earlier questions, from day one with Mr. Speed, we've always wanted to be that tribute band that was able to play the rare tracks, the deep tracks, the ones that the other Kiss tribute bands can't or won't play. Any Kiss tribute band can go out there and do Beth and Rock and Roll All Night in Detroit Rock City. After this many years of doing this, I can play those songs with my eyes closed for the most part. But it's more challenging for us and for me to do things like Master and Slave or Into the Void or Love Theme from Kiss or Baby Driver. Those are the songs that we have taken a ton of pride in doing over the years. We did a convention, Kiss Expo in Philly in 1997, and Bruce was the guest along with John Corabi that day. I think we played 37 songs.
Wow.
At that. Now, keep in mind,
Holy crap.
the expos back then were a lot different than they are now.
You ain't
Now
kidding.
it's just nobody wants a tribute band anymore. Nobody cares about the tribute bands, and I'm glad that we had all the years of playing the Indie Expo and some of the Cleveland ones, and we even did one in Detroit in '97. We did one in Chicago in '94. We've done them, but the culture at Kiss Expos has really kind of changed. The Atlanta one, that went back to the old days. That
Yeah,
was
it
what
did.
was so fun about it. A room full of people and everybody's, hot and stinky and, just looking at some cool memorabilia and being able to buy some things and having people that you didn't think you'd ever get to meet, getting reacquainted with old friends, meeting new friends. It used to be an experience. I was at the very first New York Expo in Cranford, New Jersey in 1987. There was no guest. There was a tribute band walking around taking pictures with people. I drove all that way hoping to meet a member of Kiss, and it never happened because they told us someone might show up. Never happened. But So I've done the tribute circuit, and I've learned an awful lot from it. I swear to God, if I had the capital to put one on myself, I'd do it, because I know what used to make them fun, and it used to be fun to go to them, and now it's just kind of like, a monopoly, if you will, and it's not an event anymore. But the Indy one coming up looks like it has the potential to be something super exciting.
Oh, it looks fun. It really looks fun.
And I'm glad to see that the guys involved with putting that one on are going to do something for their 20th anniversary. And I've reached out to have Mr. Speed involved, to be the tribute band to perform at the 20th, because we've played it so many times, but I've gotten no reply. Not a call back, not an email back, not a text back or anything. So we're probably going to end up going just as fans, just to be a part of it.
If you're trying to buy a table up there or try to find out prices on tables, stand in line. We can't get any info either. I mean, seriously, we can't get any info. They've got it all set up, and you ask and you email.
Well, I don't think it's all set up. That's the problem. I don't think they have all that stuff lined out yet, and I think that's what they're dealing with.
I got a hold of Keith, and Keith says get a hold of Steve, and I got a hold of Steve, and everybody's asking. We want to come down and get tables, and we can't get tables. Nobody will tell us a price or tell us anything. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
It's coming. Patience, my friend.
But you know what? Anyway, so.
All right. So, Rich, where can we find you? So we've talked about some dates coming up in March. Where else can we find you?
Yeah.
Well, obviously all the social media, but I'm going to start off with the website. It's www.mrspeedonline.com. And I'm very proud of that website. We get compliments on it all the time. That's my bread and butter. I work hand in hand with our webmaster, who is ironically from the state of Indiana. And he does very good work. Whenever he and I entered into this working partnership years ago, he had never worked with a band before. He had done some local businesses and things like that. So I was kind of like a guinea pig. But after all these years of working together, we've got a beautiful website that we love. All the social media is attached to it: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. So if you go on there, you can find out anything and everything you need to find out about the band. History going back, I think, at least 10 years. You can find history about the band on there. We do Facebook Live posts. I just did one last Tuesday evening, just talking about all the things that we've got coming up, getting the fans excited about the fact that we're hitting the road again, because we've been off the road for a number of months now. Last year, I had my right knee replaced, so I think the band didn't work very much. And I never did get to answer that question earlier when you asked me how many times we play a year. It averages between 20 and 30 times a year.
Wow, that's good.
I think the most we've ever done in one year was 35 shows. And I know there's other tribute bands out there that are playing, 100 shows a year, and that's great. It's great that they're able to get that kind of work. That's never been the way it's been for us. We take what we can get, we make the most of it, and we move on to the next show. So.
Exactly. Hey, one more thing before you go too. I got a question. Like in the movie, in Rockstar, you see the two tribute bands out in the parking lot, and they start this fight, and everybody fights their own nemesis. Have you guys ever done that? Like you're fighting the Paul guy, and this other guy's arguing with the Gene guy.
Okay, Dennis. Here's what it is. They did Mr. Speed meets the Phantom of the Expo.
There you go.
Yeah, no. We actually did.
You know what? It is funny. So anyway, that's why I just seen that. And I'm like, going, that would be funny. Anyway.
Well, it used to be you couldn't put two Kiss tribute bands in the same room together because that scenario would play out.
Right. Exactly.
Bands do not like each other. Everybody has their own agenda. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to say for the world that I don't have an ego. Everybody on the planet has an ego. It's just, how do you control your ego? There's some people that can't control it, and there's some people that can. Mr. Speed happens to be a band that can control its ego, and so I'd rather, instead of getting into a fight in the parking lot, I'd rather do what we did in Vegas. I'd rather get on stage and put up or shut up.
Right. It was just funny because I just remember that in Rockstar, but I remember being in cover bands and we'd all go to the concerts in Evansville at Robert Stadium, and you see another band and there's like 4 guys standing there like this. There's the other band, and we just sit there all day looking at each other. Nobody ever said anything, but just that look. And Kevin Book was one of them. They all had the hair and they looked cool and shit. We weren't quite as cool as they were, but anyway.
Well, we get that at every single show too.
It's funny.
We get the guys that come to the shows, and the girls are all having a good time, and they're getting the guys are standing there with their arms crossed. I call them out at every single show. I do. It's because it's just
exactly
we as guys, for whatever reason, feel inhibited. But the way I try to break the ice with everybody at our shows is I tell the guys, look, you can relax and breathe because all the girls are looking at us. You don't have to worry about the fact that you're there trying to hook up or whatever the case is, because none of the chicks care about you. They're looking at us on stage. So I just want I want people to come to our shows and have a good time and just really try to remember the experience. And because I know Kiss used to say they always wanted to be the band that they never saw on stage, and it sounds cliche and may sound cheesy, but I've taken a lot of those quotes over the years and applied them to our band. And I want Mr. Speed to be the tribute band that I would want to go see if I was going to go see one, because I've seen a whole bunch of them that I wish I could have the time back, and it's, there's very few I really feel in this world that, do it well. I just believe that we happen to be one of them.
Well, I spent my time doing my homework. I watched a bunch of your YouTube videos and everything, and I was very impressed. I thought it was really good. Like I said, unfortunately, I haven't got to see you, in person. But I'm like you. I've seen some tribute bands that are decent, and I've seen some that weren't that decent.
Well, and I always look at it like this too. I have other bands that I'm influenced by. There's other. It's not, my whole life does not revolve around Kiss. So when I go to see, for instance, a Journey tribute band, it's not hard to wear Jordache jeans, Nike sneakers, and a leopard sleeveless shirt after I'm spending $8,000 on my costume that I currently wear. Okay, so put a little bit of effort into your band. Don't just go to Hot Topics and buy a bowling shirt because it has flames on it or skulls, and think that makes you look cool to be in a band, because it doesn't. And I tell my wife and the people in our band, I say, the day that I get up on stage with those white Nike sneakers on that cost $55, kick me in the balls and tell me to sell my gear. It's not entertaining. I want to do this until I can't entertain people, and Mr. Speed is going to, stay out on the road as long as we're doing justice to Kiss. When it starts to become a tribute of itself, it's time to stop.
Exactly.
Well, Rich, thanks, man, for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
It was fun conversation.
Guys, I love the time. I appreciate it. Nice meeting all of you. Alan, good seeing you again.
Yes, sir.
Number of years. But yeah.
I have a New England album that the next time I see you, I will bring it.
I thought you were going to give it to me.
I'm not giving it to you, asshole. So, Rich, I'll bring that to you in Indy or in Terre Haute.
I'd truly be appreciative of that. I would appreciate that a whole bunch.
He only has 30. He doesn't even. It'll be fine. Anyway, all right. So you can find. On
camera, but I didn't think about it.
Yeah, that's all right. So you can find Ages of Rock on agesofrock.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Stitcher Radio, and now on Spotify.
Spotify! Yes!
Finally.
We actually should have been on Spotify way back in December when I signed us up, but the application thing, something got lost when I clicked the submit button, and it was hung.
So I've been going every other week going,
it's time to
Alan.
go.
I go, Alan, when are we going to be on Spotify? And he goes, patience. It's like going, we should have been on there.
But
All
anyway,
Anyway,
yeah, thanks again.
Thanks,
All right,
Rich.
guys.
See you later, man.
Peace
Time,
out,
guys.
folks. Till next week.
hey, Ramp.
Thanks for listening to the Ages of Rock podcast. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and most importantly, tell all your friends. Remember, you're never too old to rock. Until the next episode, peace out, folks.